All right. Hello, Roy. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Great to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Looking forward to having a conversation about life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy.
Yes, that is what you have been working in for a really, really long time.
Right. Right.
How exactly did you get into it, and what exactly is your specialty?
Yeah. Well, I am a relationship coach,
Yes.
meaning I work with people who are single that don't want to be, and they are a particular kind of person. They're the kind of person that really wants to grow in self-awareness and sort
Yes.
of begin to understand what they're doing to attract the kind of partners that they have and the
Right.
dynamics and patterns that they've been in. Right. So I'm not a dating coach. Like, I don't talk a lot about, where to go and how to approach
Mm-hmm.
someone or what to say or how to
Right.
flirt. I think that puts the cart before the horse. So I'm more
Mm.
about working on the ways we sabotage ourselves, the
Oh,
ways
yes.
that we are unconsciously, attracting dynamics that aren't healthy, and about looking for our blind spots, looking for what I call our relationship personas.
Yes.
So, yeah, I work with people that want to look at themselves and say, what do I need to learn in order to attract a healthy, sustainable relationship? And
Yeah.
I got into that because, well, that's been my journey. I've
Yeah.
had a total history of awful relationships that haven't lasted. And at one point, I just kind of hit rock bottom with my
Yeah.
love life, and I hired a coach. And that was my question. Like, what's
What is
going
going
on?
on?
Yeah, what,
Yeah.
right? And what's interesting is, so just a little history. I was married for 19 years, and that relationship became what I would call just a co-parenting, platonic, functional relationship, but there wasn't much man-woman stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I went through a divorce and I immediately rebounded into the opposite kind of relationship, which is so typical, but I did it. It was 20 years ago now. But so I met someone and it was all chemistry. It was like all sex. And at the time it was wonderful because I had gone so long without that. But we got
Yeah.
it. We were together 2.5 years. We got engaged, and she broke up with me 6 months before the wedding. And
Oh.
that destroyed me. Yeah, that one rocked my world to the extent that I kind of call it. I had like a 1 year long midlife crisis. It was a mess. I was obsessive thinking, heart palpitations, sleepless nights. I became
Oh.
kind of a lousy father. My career suffered. I was just a mess. And so I did the only thing at the time that I knew how to do, which I don't recommend, which was to help me deal with that pain. I just jumped on about 4 different dating sites and tried to meet a new woman to help me forget the last one. Okay,
Right.
so you can imagine the amount of drama that caused, because on some level, I thought that I was emotionally available, but I wasn't. I was actually using women in a sense to
Right.
distract me from my pain. So I really wasn't there, and it created tons of drama. So in the middle of all this, a friend of mine suggested that maybe I should talk to someone because this is kind of the funniest part is at that time, I really did think that my love life was not working out because I just hadn't met the right person yet. I really was blaming the women. Oh, my ex-wife was this way, my ex-fiance, blah, 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 all the crazy women online. Right? I was pointing the finger, and it really never occurred to me that I was the common denominator in all of the pictures. Like, maybe it's me. Maybe
Right.
I'm missing something about myself. Maybe, I'm doing something that I'm not aware of, that there's
Yeah.
some of my childhood conditioning might be involved in the way I'm relating with women and so forth. So when I hired a coach, my coach, thank God, forced me to look in the mirror rather than letting me just point the finger and blame all the women. So, like, the first lesson that I learned, I believe, is the most important lesson a person can learn and sort of own
What is
if
that?
they want to change the trajectory of their love lives. And
Yeah.
that is to quit pointing the finger and blaming
Yes.
everybody else, and really to look, what am I doing? What am I missing? How can I grow? What do I need to work on within myself? And when I say that, it's not to say that your exes or my exes didn't have issues. Everybody's got issues.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just that here is the only thing that I could control. And
Right.
I found when I looked in the mirror and I had to face some things that my ego did not like to admit and to own, when I changed me, it just, quote, magically changed the dynamics that I started to attract, the people I started to
Incredible.
attract. And
Amazing.
everything changed since then. So people
Wow.
ask me, why did you become a coach? Well, it's because I want to do for other people what my coach did for me. My
Yeah.
coach sort of, she didn't force me, but she invited me to ask certain questions of myself, to look in certain places, to engage with myself in certain ways that led to the transformation of my love life. And I simply just want to do for other people what my coach did for me. Because now
Yeah.
I've been married now for almost 14 years. And we have
Wow.
we have a wonderful relationship. Yeah, most of the stuff I just described happened about 20 years ago, 19 years ago. Um,
Wait, they were dating apps back then?
You're so young. I love you. Yes, there were in 2003, 4, 5, there was Match.com. I joined Match.com. Yahoo Personals was around back then. Great Expectations was a matchmaker, and eHarmony. So
Oh
yeah, they
wow,
were
those go
around,
that
and
back.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, around, this
Alright.
is around 2005 when I got involved in all these things.
Okay,
So
you guys didn't have like Hinge and Bumble, but you had like
no,
other things.
correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
the transformation that I've experienced is not because I'm special or I got lucky or God smiled on me. I engaged in a certain process that's transferable. If you ask the
Yeah,
same questions that I did and look in the same places I did, you can have the same results. And
I
that's why I'm a
love that.
coach, is I kind of just want
I
to
love that.
pass it on, or pay it
Yeah,
forward, you could say, and help people wake up to themselves and finally attract some healthy dynamics and enjoy a
I
relationship.
love that. And like you pointed something that I very much am so aware of is like you said, yeah, it's like noticing and acknowledging the things that are inside of you, the
Mm-hmm.
things that you're doing wrong, the fact that you're the common denominator. I feel like that's obviously that's very true, but it's so one thing to become self-aware and be like, yeah, I do these things and I'm aware that I do these things and I'm aware that they're not amazing and people don't love them and I don't love them. It's a whole nother thing to then know how to implement, like in action, implement,
Yeah.
because like having the knowledge up here, like I notice I like to read a
Yeah.
lot,
I
but
noticed
then
that.
a lot of times I'm like, okay, I have the knowledge, but I'm not seeing myself like necessarily implementing those just because that takes practice and like
Mm-hmm.
a certain amount of like your life that you have to invest
Yeah.
in it. So it takes time. So I just like that you also pointed that out. It's very true.
Yes, it's very true. The distance from the head knowledge to the heart knowledge, where
Yeah.
it's not that you know something, but you're living something and you're starting to see
Right.
the fruit of it. I find that that's partly, it takes some time to grow, right? It takes some discipline to stick with it and to keep learning and keep trying to apply. But I have found, and this is very self-serving because I'm a coach, but I have found you need help usually to
Yes.
take things from the head
We all
and bring
need
them,
help.
yeah, bring them into your life. Like, how do these principles in those books behind you, or the books around my
Yeah.
head, or these are my 3 books, right? How do you take that great information and have it be integrated into your life so that
Yeah.
you're just functioning in a new way? You're more mindful, you're more conscious, you're more evolved. I needed someone to help me with that, to help me integrate and apply those things. And I found most people do. So
yes, most people for sure do. But you know, something that I've noticed about like just like having a love coach or a relationship coach, which like I'm sure there are differences. I'm sure like there are different methods, just like therapy, how there are different methods. But remember how like way back in the day, people thought therapists are only for crazy people. And now people are realizing that like, no, most of us, if not all, need to just speak with someone and, you know, have a therapist, like help us figure out all these like unresolved issues. I feel like that's where dating and like love coaches are kind of at right now, where people they still don't want to admit that they have all of these problems in their relationships. They have all of these like problems in dating, but they're still where people were with therapists like 20, 30 years ago, where they don't want to admit it because it like has like a negative like connotation to it.
Especially
but I
for
feel
guys.
It's yes, exactly. But it's like, but like, look though, like look around. Do you like how your dating life is going? Are you happy with your relationship? If not, maybe you need help.
Right.
I need help.
I couldn't agree more. And I would say, there's not the stigma around mental health therapists and stuff. And why there ever was is beyond me, because we go to doctors for our physical health. We go to dentists for our teeth. We have someone probably helps us do our taxes. We are always reaching out to experts that have devoted their lives to a subject that we want to have a good experience. So we go to them for help. Why we don't do that with our relationships? I mean, what is right? It's the three most important things in people's lives, or the best-selling book lists are always either diet and fitness and nutrition books, money books, right? Or relationship books. So those are the three main issues. And a lot of us have personal trainers, or we certainly, read books and things. We get help on the personal fitness level. We get help in our finances. But people think, oh, well, the love life, I got that. Or like I said earlier, it's not me, it's them.
I think
why do I need a coach when it's the men, it's the women? You're pointing the finger and you're not seeing that I am the one who's attracting them. So nobody's saying they aren't healthy or have got some issues, but why out of all the people on the planet did you pick that one? Right? So, this gets us into we can have a little conversation about the law of attraction. Okay.
Yes.
Because
that is one of my questions.
Yeah. It's such a big thing. And the law of attraction is true and it works. And that should scare the hell out of you, because what it means is like attracts like. You attract after your kind. Birds of a feather flock together. What the law of attraction says is that you will
if the people around you suck, it means you suck.
Well, I wouldn't say it that way, but I'm kind of going that direction. It's like you will never attract a relationship or a partner that's healthier than you are.
Right.
You sort of attract at your level of maturity or consciousness or understanding, right? Like attracts like. Yeah. And so the law of attraction can work for you or against you, depending on how much you are in what I call relationship shape. Okay. My newest book right there is Relationship Boot Camp. Okay. So it's a book about training for relationships. I use like a fitness metaphor to kind of make it interesting and make it more fun to read. And so I talk about getting in relationship shape. Okay, so what I'm saying with the law of attraction is, like me, I was in horrible relationship shape back in the day. And I kept attracting horrible dynamics and people that weren't I kept, attracting codependent types of dynamics in my love life, because I was coming from a certain relationship condition that wasn't all that fit. and I attracted partners that were kind of at the same level. And then we did that. Okay. So if you want to use the law of attraction in a way that it will work for you, then it's not about how do I attract this healthier person, this person that's more evolved and more grounded and doesn't have the baggage, and they're emotionally available. It's not about how do I find this higher level person. It's always about leveling yourself up. The healthier you are, the more in shape you are, the healthier of a person you will automatically attract. Has to be. It's the law of attraction. Right? So you don't need to be thinking about what do I want to attract? I want a vision board. I want a list. I want to pray in my prayer beads. You don't need to visualize this person, the call in the one. You don't need to do that. You need to be the one.
Yeah.
You're right.
I love that.
Right. The healthier you are, it happens that way. Now, that's such really good news, because that means you're really in control of a lot more than you think, because you can grow. You can get in relationship shape. You can work out your relationship muscles and be functioning in a more mindful, conscious way. And as you do, that changes everything. So that is how the law of attraction can work for you. Otherwise, it's going to continue to work against you. And maybe we can circle back to that for some other things later on in our conversation.
Let's do it. First of all, I absolutely need to read that book. These are fascinating topics. And I think, recently, especially with like social media and like people are sharing a lot of these like memes or like written stuff. And I'm seeing messages like this go around a lot more recently. Mm-hmm. So topics like this are thankfully very trendy right now. People are acknowledging the fact that you need to be that person. There are a lot of quotes I see where it says, I hope you're with someone who is, like you said, this and that. And it somebody like crossed over the with, so that instead of saying, I hope you are with someone, it says, I hope you are someone who is this and this. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, instead of like manifesting and, visualizing this perfect man or perfect woman to come into your life and just, be exactly what you want. It's like, you be that person,
Right.
And
I love that. Just the other day on Facebook, I put a post and I said something like, remember Gandhi's famous statement was, be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, if Gandhi was a relationship coach, instead of saying, who said, be the change that you want to see, he would say, be the partner that you want to attract.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what you're getting at, is it's not about finding the right person. It's about being the right person. So whatever vibration you're living at, we could say, to get all woo-woo, right? But whatever level of consciousness that you're coming from, you will attract someone on the same level. So the more that you level up. So this is why I love using this illustration. I use it in the opening of my book, and to try to get people to shift, because most people, they're still, I call it the biggest mistake we make. The focus is on them. Where do I find them? How do I approach them? What do I say to them? How do I flirt with them? Right? The focus is them. And I'm like, no, it's you. So I use this story. I said, just imagine that you want to compete in a triathlon. Okay. You want to compete. You want to do really well. And then further imagine I'm a triathlon coach, which I'm not. There are such a thing, by the way. I actually met one time. It was pretty funny since I used this illustration. But just imagine you want to do well in a triathlon. I'm a triathlon coach. I've done well in the Ironman in my past. Now I'm retired and I help other people. Okay.
Right.
So you come to me and we start working together, and you pepper questions up for me. And all your questions are focused on things like, how do I survive in the water in the very beginning? Because it's a frenzy. How do I transition from the water to the bike to running? And I'm out there all day long. So what do I eat? How much do I eat? How much water? Where do I speed up? and make up time? Where do I conserve energy? And I'm a coach and I'm recognizing, oh, okay, these are really good questions, but you're asking me questions about race day. You're asking me strategy questions about what to do on the day of the race. Valid questions, but that's not what you should be asking me about.
Mm.
You should be asking me about, how do I get in shape for this? Right? Because if you're 50 pounds overweight, I don't care how good your strategy is. You're not going to make it 50 yards in the water. You won't go the distance unless you're in shape. Right? So I tell people that's exactly what it is in your love life. People, they focus on race day. Like the moment I'm standing in front of someone, what do I say? How do I approach them? Where do I go to meet them? How do I flirt? What should I wear? Help me learn how to play the game a little bit, And I'm like, okay, those are important questions, but that's not what you should be asking me. You should be asking me, am I ready for something real? Am I ready to go the distance? Because even if I have a great strategy, if I'm still not in very good relationship shape, I'm just going to end up in another relationship like the last one. It's going to be disappointing. It's going to be short term. My heart is going to get broken again. And I'm going to feel like I do now, where I'm semi-hopeless, like, what's ever going to be different? How is this ever going to work? Terrible. So I just tell people, you got to get in shape. The rest of it will take care of itself. Seriously, I believe that. You focus on you and getting your relationship muscles strong. The rest of it will take care of yourself. I mean, that happened to me.
I love that. In a sense, you're basically a personal trainer, but just like for relationships. But you know what the problem is there?
I actually call myself that. So great. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I think the problem is, like, a lot of times you have all of these biases in your mind, right? And like we have egos on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're anywhere near someone who is on any level successful or intelligent or good looking, then your ego is that much bigger than you're just more biased than all the other people. So it's like, how do you acknowledge that like whatever problem is your problem, especially when there's another person involved, and obviously they also have biases and they also have an ego, they have their own character flaws, and like all of these character flaws are mixing together. How do you know really when you're in a situation that is it like me, is it them? If it is me, what am I not doing right? What should I be doing? Right? It's just so confusing.
It's a great question. And the answer is, it's always you and it's always them.
Yeah.
That any dynamic you're in is co-created.
Yeah.
So it's not about like whose fault is it? It's about recognizing that whatever relationship we have, that the dynamics that are occurring are being unconsciously, usually co-created. My junk is interacting with your junk. There's a kind of an attraction through that stuff, and we are creating this.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing you can control is putting your attention on what is my stuff that I'm bringing. That is, what is my part in the dynamic? Because you really can't make the other person take ownership and take responsibility for themselves. You hopefully they will, but you can't control that. So what I say in my book is like a relationship, really of any kind, is like you're making a stew together. You're in the kitchen and you're throwing in your ingredients and they're throwing in their ingredients, and it can taste crappy, right? So you're making the relationship stew. You're making it together, right? And so both people are contributing. That's why I keep saying that when you decide to work on yourself, nobody's saying your exes didn't have problems. No one's saying that they weren't throwing their junk into the stew. What we are saying is you have the option to say, if I didn't throw my stuff in there, it never would have tasted like that. I mean, the relationship could never have gone the way it did if I was more self-aware about my childhood conditioning, my relationship personas, my personality blind spots, my trust issues, my communication issues, right? Without my stuff, it would never have gone that way, right? So yeah, that's the focus. And maybe we should get more specific about that.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about something. I probably should trademark this term, but anybody can use it. I don't care. Something that I call the relationship Groundhog Day syndrome.
That was going to be my first question, actually. So let's get to
it. Yeah. It's the idea, Bill Murray kept reliving the same day over and over again back in the movie, back before you were born, frankly. I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure, because I think it was 1988 or something when that movie came out. I'm not positive, but
yeah, I was born in 93.
Yeah, he keeps living. My son was born in 94. So yeah, interesting. You would love him. He's an amazing guy. Anyway, I'm not playing matchmaker here. Because I think he would love you.
Give him my Instagram.
Right. He had to keep reliving the same day until he sort of grew and sort of understood himself. And then all of a sudden it was a new day, right? So most people listening to this conversation probably can point to some kind of pattern that they recognize in their lives. Like my relationships, they start and they fizzle out. Or I keep attracting the emotionally unavailable person or the narcissist. Or I keep attracting people that, are ghosting types and they're not trustable. Yeah. Or, right. Most people can say, even though I've dated 4 or 5 different people, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
and we keep doing this. It's like the same pattern over and over.
There's a pattern. Yeah.
Right. That is the law of attraction working against you. Let me explain it, because I went through this myself. When I hired a coach, what I recognized as my pattern was that I kept attracting women who were very successful and very busy professionally, but they were single mothers, because at this time I was around 45. Now I'm 61. So yeah, 44, 40, 43 in there somewhere. They were just killing it professionally. They worked a ton of hours, but they were single mothers and they were just overwhelmed with trying to do it all, right? They were swamped and stressed, and I can't take care of my kids. I can't be there for all this stuff. I can't manage my household and the grocery shopping and all this other stuff. And because I'm working 60 to 80 hours a week and they're making a ton of money and stuff. And I kept attracting relationships like that, where they were kind of damsels in distress. And I noticed that I was showing up as what I call Roy the Rescuer.
Yay!
I would show up in these relationships, and within weeks, I was raising their children, getting them up for school, getting them dressed, getting them breakfast, because she was already at work. Not from the reason I was telling you, but it can be if it's done from love, okay? But I was cleaning our house. I was doing the dishes.
Especially if their love language is like acts of service, then they for sure were loving you.
Yeah. They were loving the persona, right? They were loving Roy the Rescuer. Roy the Rescuer was doing that because he was afraid that if he didn't become Mr. Mom, they would never love him. So I wasn't doing it because I wanted to love. That I was doing it because I was afraid. Like, I won't get laid unless I do this stuff. Yeah. So here's the thing that I recognized. In my childhood, my mother took care of the needs of the kids and stuff in the home, but she was kind of emotionally distant. She was kind of a perfectionist. She was harsh, demanding, perfectionistic. And as a little boy who wanted to be close to his mother, what I learned was that if I make my life sort of be about fulfilling mommy's agenda, being a good boy, then I felt some warmth. I felt affection and attention. But if I had my own desires, my own wants, my own selfish things, I'm talking when I'm 3, 4, 5, 6 years old now. When I had that, I didn't get punished, but I felt distance. I didn't feel any connection. I didn't feel warmth. I got those pursed lips. I got kind of an anger response. And so as a little boy, I'm unaware of this. I just because I want to be close to my mother, I figure out, well, the way you get attention and affection from your mother is about making your life be about hers. Like, drop your own agenda, drop your own wants. It's not about you. Just, mommy, what do you need? How can I help? What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to be? And when I was the good boy, then I felt some connection. You fast forward 40 years. Now I'm 45 years old and I'm functioning like a good boy, because I had this inner belief that the way you get an attention and affection from a beautiful woman is if you make your life be about taking care of hers. So I was in this rescuing persona.
Yeah.
I was this fear-driven, survival-driven way of relating that I wasn't aware of. I just thought I was a really good guy. I just thought I was a really nice guy.
Doing the right thing, yeah.
But I was doing all that stuff because I was afraid, because I was insecure in myself and in my own masculinity, that a woman wouldn't want me if I show up fully in the relationship, that I have needs, I have wants, I have things that I want to do, you do too. If I showed up kind of with myself, I felt like I would never get attention and affection. So I showed up as Roy the rescuer. So when that childhood pattern is running in my life and I'm not aware that I've lost contact with my authentic self and replaced it with a phony self, Roy the rescuer, good boy Roy, I use both of those names. When that is running my life and I'm not aware of it, who are the only women that I will ever be attracted to? If I'm a rescuer, it's got to be a damsel. Has to be. If I met a woman, and I did, who had their shit together, right? Who maybe had busy careers, but they were handling it. I mean, they wanted to be loved. They would love support, but I got it. It's like, I'm not falling apart. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm busy, but I'm working it. When I met them,
the attitude is different. Yeah.
Yeah. I met them. We had no chemistry. On some level, right? She didn't need to be rescued. So I couldn't play my shtick. Now, I don't want to say that as if I knew I was doing this. I didn't know this. I just thought I was just the world's greatest boyfriend. In my first book, above my head there's a chapter called The World's Greatest Boyfriend. But see, I was doing it from fear.
All the names are so good.
This is the only way a woman will like me or want me or have sex with me. Yeah. And so when I'm in that mindset, this is the law of attraction working against me.
Yeah.
If I'm a rescuer, then I'm going to attract a damsel every time. I can go into a room of 100 women and I'll find the one woman in there. It's, I'm so busy. What would you, and then I'll be Superman. I'll swoop in there and I'll fix it all for you. All you got to do is have sex with me twice a day and then we're good. Okay. Which is the dynamic that I created. Okay. I took care of everything in this woman's life. You have to work and have sex with me. That's all you got to do. And she was in that persona and loved it. And I was in that persona and I loved it for a while. But after a while, I don't know if I want to do your kids' laundry every day. Like, I don't know if I don't want to change their sheets. I have a job. I have things to do.
Wow, you were deep in there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, being Mr. Mom is a wonderful expression if it's coming from love. It's like, that's the way I love, the way I serve. I want to nurture family. If you're a guy and you like, awesome. But I wasn't doing it from that. I'm afraid if I'm not that guy, she won't want to be with me. You're doing it
for the wrong reasons, but it's like, if the right reasons are there, by all means, there's nothing wrong with that.
So here's where we turn the tables now. So now everybody can think about that pattern that you could name in your life. What is it? You attract narcissists, or do you attract the emotionally unavailable, or whatever it might be?
You have to get to the root of it. Like,
whatever dynamic you're attracting, that must mean that you are showing up in a persona that matches that, right? Because Roy the rescuer sort of matches the damsel. So I use the illustration of like two pieces of a puzzle, right? When you're a little girl, you made puzzles, 1,000-piece puzzles. And a particular piece of the puzzle would not go with just any piece. It had to find its reciprocal match, right? You can't put one puzzle piece with anything. It's got to find its little partner. They go together like cookies and milk, right?
Yes.
So rescuers got to find damsels. Why do I keep, my coach, why do I keep attracting these women who are so busy, but their lives are overwhelming and I got to do everything and why are they such victims and I'm the rescuer? And she's like, forget about them. When you're a rescuer, that's all you'll find in the world. If you change your shape, Roy, if you do the work here to become more secure in yourself, let go of your mommy issues, because I had mommy issues. Okay? You let go of that. You work on that. You begin to see that you have, an innate value in and of yourself. When you show up and you're no longer not a rescuer, but moving from love and not fear, you're going to find a different kind of woman. I guarantee you. And that's what happened. So that's the challenge, is to notice whatever pattern the listener might be in. And to say, like a lot of women report that, why do we keep attracting guys who are sort of broken down? They're like broken down. They're wounded. They need to be fixed, right? That's because you're walking through life as Florence Nightingale.
Women love that.
If you're a nurse,
fixing the guy.
Right. If you're a nurse, then the only people that work with you are wounded, sick people.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a mechanic, a car mechanic, the only thing that you attract are broken down cars. They go together, right? So it's not about finding a guy who's got his shit together. It's about looking at what's going on here. I must be moving in some sort of caregiver persona, some sort of motherly type of energy, because I keep attracting, boys. I don't attract men. I attract boys that need to be kind of raised and nurtured, right? So that's how the law of attraction can work for you. You see that I'm attracting this because I'm in a persona. And so a lot of my work is about identifying your relationship persona. There's hardly anybody that can go through their childhood. I don't care how enlightened your family was. You're going to come out of your childhood with some sort of sense that if I'm this kind of little boy or this kind of little girl, I get more attention, more approval. I get more genuine. I feel more secure. I get more love. But if I'm that kind of little boy or that kind of little girl, I either get punished or I get dismissed or attention. I get ignored. Right. Yeah. So as little people, we will morph into the kind of people we need to be to get love from our family, to feel safe. It's so true. It might not be our authentic self. And so you don't even know you're doing this. Now you're older and you're in your persona, but it creates drama because you might have had to do it. See, when I was a little boy, it was brilliant that I became a good boy because I just for safety, I needed to be close to my mother. I needed that connection. So it was a smart thing to do as a 5-year-old. It's just that it's no longer necessary when I'm an adult. I don't, right? So a lot of these personas that we have, and this is common in psychology, right? So I'm not making something up. This is just basic psychology, that they're survival mechanisms when we're young, and they can be very valuable. It's just that when you grow, you don't need them anymore. But yet you don't know that you've become the persona. You just think you're the world's greatest boyfriend. I'm just a really nice guy. No, I'm not. Not that kind of nice guy. I'm just scared. A woman won't give me the time of day unless I hear some problem. Oh, I'll fix that for you. Oh, I can take care of that. And then we're in this codependent thing. She's depending on me to take care of her life and the overwhelmed. And I'm dependent on her because I wasn't having any sex, right? So it's like, ooh, I'll have sex with you if you take care of me, right? Yeah. Now, we didn't say that to each other. That would have been great. If we'd have been that honest, listen, I'll take care of your life if you just have sex with me all the time. Deal. That's a deal, Roy, right? Then there wouldn't be any drama because we would know the arrangement. It's like we give each other a job description. Your job is to have sex with me, and my job is to take care of the kids and, take that off your plate. Right. But in relationships, we have job descriptions, we don't admit it, or we're not even aware of it. And then we end up in all kinds of drama and so forth, because these dynamics, they don't last. Personas, they don't last. I got tired of being Mr. Mom because I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And she got tired of having sex twice a day. Duh. You know what I mean? Like, right? And then, well, we're not having sex. Then I'm not cleaning the house.
Yeah.
Right? So now we start arguing. Why don't you be the woman that I first met? Why don't you be the guy that you were when I first met you? So there's a power struggle to try to get each other to be the person, you know, all of us can relate to these things.
Oh yeah.
If you're sort of aware. So that's a lot of what I do as a coach, is help people sort of unwind the patterns and break free. So I call it breaking free of the relationship Groundhog Day syndrome.
Okay, so I have one question here, and that is like what you say makes so much sense, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this. And definitely at a certain age when you've gone through a little bit of life, but enough life and enough relationships, and seen enough of how your dynamic is with other people, you become aware of these patterns that you mentioned. Understanding these patterns and where they come from, like as you said, it goes back to when you were a child. It goes back to before you were even probably like aware and conscious enough to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And it was so much of not just your nurture, but also your nature, because a lot of things are also your cognitive functions, your personality type. A lot of these things are deeply ingrained in people's personality types. So you put nature and nurture together. So it's your genetic as well as how you've operated quite literally since you were a child, probably until now that you're an adult. So it's like, even if you become aware of these patterns and the problem, how do you go about solving something like that is so deeply rooted in you, and you've lived your life only like that, and you've only looked at life from the lens of the person that you've always been? How do you even like change? Because that would mean you have to change everything about you. How do you do that?
Well, you're describing genuine personal growth. And really, it starts and almost finishes with self-awareness. So when you're aware of your nurture nature, if you're aware of your story, the way my coach helped me become aware of mine with my mother and how it was showing up, when you're aware of your relationship persona and your personality blind spots, when you're aware of that, that gives you the power then to show up in the world and now truly have a choice. Okay, because once I started to see this, and then I was in the dating world, I would be able to feel my inclination to want to be a rescuer. Boy, the way to get her to like you is to rescue. And start, I could feel that Roy the rescuer start coming up in me. But because I was aware of the way he thought, what he said, and what his feelings were, because I had spent so much time.
You know that guy.
Right. So when I would see him coming up, I was then able to say, do you want to go down that road again?
Right.
Or do you want to discover your authentic self? So for me, a lot of it was simply recognizing the things that Roy the rescuer would do. And then to say, what would I do with this woman if I was not afraid of losing her? How would I show up? How would I respond to this? What would I say? How would I be with her if I didn't need her? If I didn't morph into Roy the rescuer to get her to like me? Well, who would that be? And I remember working with my coach when I first started to understand this dynamic. I told her, I said, Diana, that was her name. I said, Diana, I don't even know who I am if I'm not Roy the rescuer. And she told me directly, she said, of course you don't. You've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah.
Welcome to the path. That was her phrase. I'll never forget it. Wow. Welcome to the path. Because the minute you see that you've been unconsciously living according to your fears and those dynamics, then the path starts. Well, then who am I without all that stuff? Who's the authentic Roy when he's not afraid?
Yeah.
Right. So I just knew what Roy the Rescuer was like so much that I could spot myself. I could spot myself being him. And I knew the opposite. I knew the healthy way. What would I do? What would I say if I'm not afraid? And here's the other thing that I did. You want to rock people's world right now. I was so committed to not being that guy anymore, to love more authentically and connect more with my full self instead of my fear-driven self, that very early in a relationship, I started telling women my dynamic. I've been married 14 years. On our third date with my wife, the third date, I told her this whole story. I said, I want you to be on the guard for Roy the Rescuer. I have a tendency to become this fear-driven, sweet, you'll feel it. You'll feel that he's insecure. He's trying to control you. He's trying to get you to like him. And I told her the whole story, my mother and what I did in my relationships. And I said, I don't want to do that with you. I just want to show up authentically. So if you sense, right, I asked her on the third date, if you ever sense that something's off, I want you to get right in my face. And there were times where she would say to me, is this like the real Roy, or that didn't feel right? That felt like Roy the Rescuer there. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. I slipped. Thank you. That's why I married her, because she was supporting my evolution. She didn't want that guy, right? She wanted the real me, and she wouldn't tolerate. It takes a lot of
trust and intelligence from her, because, the wrong person could actually use that against you also.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because that's like very sensitive information you're putting in someone's hand on the third date.
It really is. But when you let go of some ego, you're like, well, I don't care if you use it against me. I am so committed to not living out my Groundhog Day anymore that I'm putting it there. But I also had a sense that she could handle that, because I found out she was a therapist. Okay. And when I shared my story, she shared hers.
Yay.
Because when I met her, she had just done about 2 years of her own therapy because her own love life sucked. And I had just done mine. So when we met, it's like she had gotten in shape and I had gotten in shape. And then we met at the starting line, and we were actually ready to relate in a real conscious way, so that I could say those things about me. And she felt attracted by that kind of honesty and openness.
Amazing.
And she could say, well, let me tell you about my crap. Here's what I did. I was married for 20 years and blah, blah, blah. And this is what I've learned. And this is the kind of person that I don't want to be anymore in relationships. Right. And so, that was like, oh my God. Like we're both on the same path.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I stand for people. Just get yourself in shape. There's somebody out there that's doing their work too. I'm telling you, they're out there.
And then you'll find each other.
Yeah, the universe. I don't know how these things happen. I just went to a personal growth conference. I knew the speaker. I liked the topic. I just went there. I went on stage and talked to the speaker because I knew her. She was one of my kind of mentors from afar, but I never met her in person. But I had played golf with her husband. Okay, so we had a connection. So I was talking to her on stage, and we're getting ready to start. And I just turned around on the little stage. There was about 80, 90 people in the room. And I just kind of scanned over. Who's the prettiest girl in here? I'm going to sit down next to her. And I sat down next to her. And 18 months later, we got married. Right? So
love that.
These things are doable if you're sort of brave enough to quit pointing the finger and say, I got to get my butt in shape.
Yeah.
I got to get my butt in shape. It's not them. It's me. It's not them.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah. And the way these things manifest themselves, relationship and dating is only like one little branch of this ginormous tree. It's like it manifests itself in like so many different ways. So it's like what you're really saying is not just like get in shape for relationship and dating. It's like you have to do the inner work. You have to just work on yourself. And then as a result of that, your whole life will improve, which then
Yes.
one of that is relationship and dating.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's an
Right?
old Zen saying, wherever you go, there you are. I think it was Confucius, right? Right. Whatever shape you're in at work, friends, family, intimate relationships. Yeah. Whatever you're bringing, it's going to come out. So I like that you're the trunk of the tree. And then there's all these branches. There's work and there's love life and friends and siblings and all these
even
things
your
that
alone
we do.
time.
But right. It's all a function of our awakening, our own conscious evolution as people, waking up to our junk and letting it go and then functioning better. So that's why in this book, I identify what I call 7 relationship muscles. Okay. These are 7 areas of our lives that if you're going to be fit to be tied, if you're going to be in good relationship shape, you need to have these 7 muscles in your life pretty strong. You don't have to be Mr. Olympia, but you need to be pretty strong in these 7 areas. If you're not, you're going to keep creating drama.
Yeah.
So some of those areas are sort of your relationship to that voice in your head.
Oh, yes.
If you ever notice how wrong, how it makes up stories about people and things. And
yes.
So
yes.
there's a maniac that lives in your head, a neurotic nut
Absolute
job in
maniac.
there. Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to get a healthy relationship with that voice. Okay?
Yeah.
And then there's a relationship to your emotions.
Yeah.
Right. Especially for guys. We don't get any training on the emotional intelligence. Right.
You guys get the opposite. It's like the more you press it down, the more of a man you are.
Right. Exactly. We're allowed to experience anger, but we can't feel sadness or fear. So we're emotionally cut off. And then we want to relate with an emotional creature like a woman. And we wonder why we have a hard time, because no one's ever taught us about emotions. How do I feel them? How do I express them in a way that connects and creates harmony? How do I be with my partner's emotional flow and not just say, oh, you should talk to your girlfriends about that. Oh, you got to talk to your mother, right? If you can't stand in the storm of your partner's flow, you're going to be single. Right? So, and then there's a relationship with your inner truth. Most of us play a lot of games. We say certain things because we think, it'll get us what we want, but we withhold things that we think people might judge or misunderstand. So we're not always as honest and open as we could be, because intimacy,
or at least we like to think that we are.
Right. Intimacy is about knowing and being known, right? And that means revealing yourself to another person without the fear of them judging. I mean, they might judge you, but there's a place in you where you just say, I just want to be an open, honest person. And if you can't handle that, well, then we're not a good fit. But most of us do what I call redactive dating. Okay. Like you've seen government documents that are top secret and they get finally released to the public, and all the black lines on them, everything's all blacked out, right? That's how we date. Like, here I am, but I'm blacking out all this stuff that I don't want you to know about.
Okay, let me just present a little bit of a disagreement here, because I've had this experience where I've gone on dates and that paper came with no blacked out parts, and I hoped that they had blacked out some of those parts, because I was not ready to receive all of that on a second date. You know what I mean? So it's sometimes it's I feel like it's actually a little bit of emotional intelligence or social intelligence when you know when and how to present certain things about yourself. Obviously on a first or second date, you're not supposed to I know you did that with your wife, and I mean, I feel like that's amazing, but that also might have been a little bit of luck. But usually on a second or a first or second or third date, you don't want to reveal everything.
Why
because
not?
Imagine how many times you go on first, second, and third dates with numerous people before you actually find the right person. So are you really just going to reveal 100% of yourself to the 100% of the people that you meet?
Yeah. Right. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not what I'm saying. No, because there are certain times and relationships go through certain phases. Like you would never say how much money you make on a first date. You would never talk
I
about
see.
how much debt you have in your credit card. You would never talk about your sexual history, right? There are certain
Okay.
times, right? I'm talking more about the way in which we can play a game to get someone to like us. Right. So, and the way in which we are in a situation with someone and we're experiencing something in the moment as we're talking with them or being with them, and we're afraid to let someone know what we're feeling. So for instance, I had a client, wasn't that long ago.
I see.
She was out with a guy for the first time. They met online, they talked, and they were really connecting. They shared some pictures, and there was, they really felt like this is nice. And so they had their first date. And she was telling me, Roy, I met this dude. It's like, this guy checks all the boxes, man. I mean, she was like, whoa. I mean, check, 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 check. And she said, but it's like, we had dinner together. He had 4 cocktails. Okay. And I'm sitting over here, and in my head, I'm like, man, you're checking all the boxes. I'm kind of scared. Do you have a drinking problem? This is what she's thinking. Like, do you have a drinking problem? You're not even slurring your words. Like, you've had a lot to drink. I don't know if you can drive home. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that's got a drinking problem. I don't want any of that. Okay. I'm just saying, if you want to have an authentic relationship that's open and honest and transparent, then she would have the opportunity to reveal to him and say something like, hey, Joe, as I'm sitting here, I mean, like, you check all the boxes, man. Like, I'm really loving getting to know you. I think there's some real possibilities here. And I noticed that you've had 4 cocktails, and I'm scaring myself about that. I'm over here thinking, does this guy have a drinking problem? I don't want to be in a relationship where someone's got a drinking problem. So I just want you to know what's happening over here.
I love how you're presenting that, by the way. Right? Like, that's the best way you could say that.
Right. I'm just revealing
what I'm thinking.
I'm not making it up. I'm actually over here spinning about that. I want to say it?
And I'm not saying I'm right.
Right. Oh, right. Exactly. There's no accusation.
Right.
So but I just want you to know me. I want, that's what's happening over here.
I love that.
And so then there will probably be a conversation, because it's really possible that she could just talk herself into that voice in the head. Oh, this guy's got a drinking problem, so I'm out.
I definitely do that.
He checks all the boxes, so I'm not going to respond to his text message when he wants to see me again. And it might turn out that if you would have said that, he'd say, you know what? You're exactly right. I never drink this much. I'm so nervous being with you. I've been a nervous wreck all week about this date, because
I like that.
So I think I've gone overboard here, but oh, well, you don't have a drinking problem. You're just into me. Right.
I'm guilty of that.
But you might never have discovered that
if you didn't speak it. Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, if you're just sitting there and you just say, I'm scaring myself, I'm having thoughts that, and you reveal that, if he's like, what a judgmental, self-righteous bitch you are. Great.
Okay.
Now you just found out about this guy, right? Now you know he's not my guy, because of how defensive he became, and he sort of attacked me, because I wasn't saying you're an alcoholic. I wasn't saying you did something wrong. I'm just sharing what's happening in my system as I'm sitting with you.
Yeah.
And if you go off the deep end, well, good. Now I know that you've got a temper. Now I know that you don't really want to have honesty here, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, either way you win, right? So it's that kind of stuff. It's not, I'm giving you my medical history on the first date. No, God, no, right? I think I was dating my wife for 6 months before we started talking about our finances, because by then we knew that we were going to be long-term. After 6 months, I already knew I was going to ask her to marry me in the not that far future, but at our 1 year anniversary. So I already knew that was coming, right?
Yeah.
And so it's time to start talking about some of that stuff. But so there's phases to things.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm just
that
talking
makes
about,
sense.
here's what happens a lot when I work with women. They don't get a second date. Okay. I met this guy. We have a great time. We were connecting. We were flirting. It was good. He asked for my number, and I give it to him. And then they don't follow up. They just disappear. I don't get a second date. It's okay. So you were into him? Like you were really, really like this guy? And you're like, oh my God, I was already naming our children. I was like, oh my God, our children would be beautiful. It's like, this guy is fantastic. I was like, oh my word. I mean, like, I know I won't have sex on the first date, but man, oh man, did I want to jump his bones. Good. I said, how much of that did you tell him? Oh, no, I could never say that. I could never give a man that kind of power and let him know that I'm just wildly into him and I'm already naming our children. I could never do that. Well, what did you do?
Because that would scare him off. We've been told
but that's not true.
Not to come off strong like that, because it also, because then if you do that and then he also doesn't text you back or follow up, then you're going to think, oh, it's because I said that.
Let me tell you something about guys. If I'm with a woman and I'm into you and I like you and I want you, and then you tell me our children would be gorgeous, you ain't going to chase me off. That's what I want. I want you to be into me, right? Okay. But here's what happens. The male ego, most men will not ask a woman out or ask for the relationship to continue if they think there's the slightest hope that you're going to say no, the slightest chance. If I think you might tell me, my sister's going to be in town for the next 9 months, I'm just right. If I get a sense that if I say, can I get your number, or do you want to, can we do something on Friday, that you're going to say no, then I won't even ask. So it's the feminine's job to reveal herself. Like,
okay. But that guy also sounds a little bit like a wuss. It sounds like he's very afraid of rejection.
Well,
like grow a pair.
Yeah. I mean, and when I'm working with men, I say, you got to get over that. If you want her, ask her out. If she rejects you, you won't die. Don't give in to that. But I just know men enough to know that I don't want to hear her turn me down. So I'm not going to ask unless I think she's a sure thing. So when you're with me,
why would you no?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Some women are super, I get that, but like a lot of women are also like most women are into like being chased. So it's like, not only the first time you ask for someone's number or like to go out with them, are they going to say no? But it's like they want to see how much effort you actually put into.
Okay. So cool. So you want to play the game? Oh,
that's not game.
Oh, yeah. Listen. You just have to understand. Maybe it's the age factor. There are two kinds of coaches in the world: those who tell people how to play the game, and those who challenge the game altogether. Okay, so I am totally against all of that, in my mind, bullshit. It's like, if you like me, then you tell me. And if you're interested, you tell me. I'm over here naming our children because I'm so attracted to you. So yeah, I understand the younger thing, but it doesn't work. I'm telling you. Men don't want to chase a woman they think they can't catch. Turn on National Geographic. Once the lion feels like I can't catch that gazelle, it's running too fast, it stops.
But then what happens right before he has that thought? What happens when he thinks he has a chance? He keeps running, right?
Well, he's going to ask her out.
He doesn't just take the first step and then be like, oh, wait.
Right. But listen, but no, it's okay.
Also took a first step, so I'm going to like go back with my home. It's like, no, you have to run a little bit. But then it's like, if you run for a while and she's getting further and further, like, by all means, stop.
Right.
You gotta run a little.
Right. If you want to be chased, then I'm not the coach for you. Just not. If you want to be chased, because I have no interest in chasing a woman. I'm too old for that. It's like, if I like you and you like me, let's just stay. Let's not play this game, because you wanting to be chased is just simply about your ego. You're
not
just
true.
Okay. Well,
It's about resilience.
yeah.
It's about when you have 10 guys who want you,
Yeah.
right? Why would you like give yourself out easy? You want to see who wants you the most,
No, you don't.
right?
No, you want to tune into yourself and you say, who do I feel attracted to? Who do I want to be with? And you simply
Yeah. And then
reveal that to them.
if I have like a few guys who are interested and the ones that I'm not interested is like, okay, easy, out, right? So the
Yeah.
ones that I'm talking about are the ones that I'm interested, because if I'm not interested, it's already over.
Right.
There is not even a chase to be talked
Right.
about. The ones that I do like, then there's a little bit of like, what kind of vibe am I getting from this guy? Is he just like talking to 10 girls? Is he talking to a million girls?
Well,
Is
you're
it
talking
just
to
like
10 guys.
because I'm not putting the same amount of effort for all of the 10 guys.
Right.
Out of the 10 guys, I might be more into 5 of them. I might be super into 2 of them. And I'm really
Right.
hoping that one guy shows me everything I want to see so that he can win. So is he doing the same thing with all of the girls, or is he putting a different amount of effort in each girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I just don't stand for that in the world. Let me just say this for the people that have caught the message in our conversation about kind of wanting to get in relationship shape and, kind of do the work on themselves. What I've created, and I think it's really kind of fun, because like if you were going to go to the gym and you want to hire a personal trainer to get you in physical shape, the first thing that the trainer is going to do is run you through a bunch of assessments, kind of see where you are now and, kind of figure out your current fitness level. And then they put a program together to kind of get you where you want to go. Well,
Yes.
I do that as a coach. You mentioned me being a relationship trainer. I do
Yeah.
the same thing. So on my website, I have something that's called the Relationship Fitness Self-Assessment Test.
Ooh,
Okay?
I would love to take it.
So it's a 30-question true-false test. Takes about 3 to 5 minutes to take.
Okay.
It's very accurate. It's completely confidential.
Yes.
But you take this test and you'll get your email results immediately as to, in the view of the test that I put together, what is your relationship fitness level? And when you get the results, then you sort of know, okay, do I need to work on myself? Right? Because there's 5 different levels. You could be relationally ripped, which means you're like Jesus or Gandhi or Buddha or something like that. You're like, no one's ever scored in the ripped level. And then there's a level I call skinny fat and unhealthy and out of shape. And then the lowest category, and this is the category, I took my own test,
Obese.
but I took it from the mindset I had back when I was single, and my wife took it too. And both of us scored in the lowest category, dangerously out of shape, because our love lives were a mess. Right. So I want to invite everyone to find out your fitness level, because
where you stand,
if you're not as in a good a shape as you think you are, and most people, they find out that they need to do some work on themselves, then that's good news. That just means you could contact me, reach out to me, and I can put a program together to help get you in relationship shape. It's sort of like if you want to buy a house, you got to check your credit score. Yes. And if you need to you do some things in your finances to raise your credit score, otherwise nobody will give you a loan, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you want to raise your fitness level and get in the best shape you can so that you can create something meaningful. So all of that is just found on my website, coachingwithroy.com. It's right on the homepage. It's absolutely free.
I would love to check it out.
Yeah. I get notified people take the test, but I do not see your results. So that's just your results. Now, if you get results like I did, where I was not in good shape, then you can reach out to me, because I offer a free consultation where we can talk about a potential coaching program to get yourself in better shape so that the law of attraction can work for you.
I will definitely love to check that out. But, like what I'm talking about and what we're talking about right now, I guess a lot of people, and I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Greene's work. He's one of my favorite authors. And like he talks about this in his books a lot, where he talks about creating this image, right? We all do this. We create this image that we want other people to like and we want other people to respect. And some people are more successful at creating a likable, respectable image than others are. And, you know, like, here's an example. Like, yeah, it might be called playing games or even manipulation, but it's like, would you call it playing games or manipulation if, like, let's say you are with a date, right? And you guys are going to go check out restaurants and pick one to sit out and eat, right? You go to a restaurant that all the seats are empty. As soon as you go in, they're going to accept you and sit you down and serve you. And then you go to another restaurant that looks super packed, super busy. You have to leave your name down and they're going to call you back in like maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And then you're going to go and sit down and be able to eat. Which restaurant would people normally find more attractive to go to? And usually the answer is the one that's more busy and takes a little bit longer, even though that's inconvenient, but that's attractive to us, right? And that's the same kind of image that I'm talking about right now. Sure, you can call it playing games, you can call it manipulation, but it's like,
right, it is.
when you're readily available all the time, that decreases from your value. Creating an image of being busy and having other options and being desired by others adds more value to your personality and to your image. When like somebody asks you to go out and you immediately say, okay, and you go out and you're just readily available, that decreases from your value in other people's. And these are just the kind of like basic psychological games that we play and we like it. How's it working for me personally?
For everybody. Because you're describing exactly what it's not working.
It's not.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I completely.
But then why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep doing it if it's not working?
Right, because we're just stuck in our egos and we don't know better, right? I mean,
that's also true.
Yeah, I'm totally hearing you. And if anybody wants to work with me, we're going to talk about doing the exact opposite of that. I just don't stand for that. It's playing games. It's manipulation. It's fear-based is what it is. So listen, I got to run on. I think it's been a great conversation.
We've gone over.
We've gone a nice amount of time. So let me know, how this goes and when you post it, and I'll promote all over social media. And it was
I will.
Good discussion.
Where can people find you?
Yes, coachingwithroy.com. Yeah.
Okay. How about social media?
Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is, I think I'm the only Roy Biancalana.
You're not on Instagram?
No,
or TikTok?
No. Oh God, no.
No? No. No plans of being there?
No plans. Zero. I hate social media. Yeah. It's just full of trolls. So, but Twitter and Facebook. But no, my website is where all my resources and books and video courses and coaching information and
that person, that the test you mentioned, I definitely want to do that. That sounds really interesting. Yeah. This has been very amazing and very educational. I myself learned so much. There was still so many other things I wanted to ask you, but we have gone a lot over. So maybe we can have another conversation down the line in the future. Sure. That would be great.
Absolutely.
But anyways, thank you so much for doing this. I really enjoyed it. And thank you everyone for listening. Bye everyone. Bye, Roy. Bye.